Everyone knows Italy for its wine, food, and bustling cities, but its hidden jewels lie deep within its hillside towns. Discover Macerata, Italy, a town untouched by tourism and full of opportunities for you to unearth your inner Italian. My name is Lauren, and I will be your guide through the historic streets of Macerata. Macerata, the hillside paradise of Italy's Marche region, sits on a pedestal 1,000 feet in the air, reaching out into the clouds. The city has an intriguing layout due to its construction in medieval times. The city was built around a castle at the highest point in town. Macerata's hilltop base creates many levels, which are connected by winding cobblestone roads and long stairways. The waters of the Potenza and Chianti rivers lay far below the fortified walls surrounding the city. The wall provided protection from invaders and from the flooding rivers. The original inhabitants of the area were known as the Piceni. The Piceni were a 3rd century Italic tribe that would later join the great Roman Empire. Although Macerata was very self-sufficient, the people joined Rome for protection and peace in violent times. Macerata's land was extremely important to Rome because of its strategic location and bountiful supply of crops. It was a very popular city for merchants. There were many roads leading to popular cities and the nearby Adriatic Sea. Macerata continued to grow, and in 1138 it was officially declared an independent municipality. Macerata became even more popular with the addition of its university in 1290. Macerata, like other cities, has struggled at times too. In the 14th and 15th century, 2/3 of Macerata's citizens were swept away in the cataclysmic wave of the plague. Those who survived continued their proud tradition in honor of those no longer with them. Free from the death and destruction of the previous century, the 16th century brought the revitalization of Macerata and some of its most breathtaking features. Today, Macerata is a thriving city capable of balancing both its rich history and modern lifestyle. The cobblestone streets bustle with people and cars alike. Macerata lies off the beaten path, which allows those who visit to truly explore the culture. Some of Macerata's ancient history can be seen through the beautiful architecture of buildings such as this one behind me. The Lauro Rossi Theater was designed by architect Antonio Galli Bibbiena in 1765. The theater was completed in 1772, but didn't open until 2 years later. The interior is bell-shaped for better acoustics, so that if an actor whispered on stage, people in the highest balcony would be able to hear it. There are 3 tiers of boxes with elaborately decorated balconies made primarily with wood. In 1855, the 4th tier was added, calling it God's Gallery with a transcendent barrier and proscenium boxes. In 1933, a man named Piero Ginelli added a double staircase during a restoration project named for the composer Lauro Rossi. The Lauro Rossi Theater represents the only Italian-style theater in the Marche. The monument to the fallen sits in the 2nd extension of the town and is dedicated to those who died in World War I and the wars that followed. It was designed to remember Italy's victory in World War I. It was built in 1932 by Cesare Bazzani. It replaced 3 gates at the end of the extension. It depicts 5 athletes in different poses and a sacrificial as there would have been in ancient Rome. Along a little road outside the city lies an ancient structure that was used by women to wash clothes and retrieve water. The bathhouse has been supported all these years by the famous arches that the Romans are known for inventing. Although the water in the pools is full of algae, the water that still runs down from the mountains is safe to drink. The portion of the structure covered by a ceiling was for people, while the uncovered grassy area was for animals to stop and graze. The Sferisterio of Macerata stands out as one of the most prominent architectural structures of the late European neoclassical style. The final design was made by Ireneo Alejandri. Construction began on October 2, 1820, and was finished just short of 9 years later. The structure included boxes, balconies, and a playing field fit for various sports popular in the 19th century. It was built with perfect acoustics and a natural design intended to blend in seamlessly with the environment. Later, it was converted into an opera house. It has housed various plays for thousands of eager spectators throughout the decades. Showings are purposefully later at night so you can appreciate the setting sun and stars while listening to symphonic music.
A great place to see art of ancient Macerata is this art museum, which houses works such as the Madonna di Macerata, the Hall of the Aeneid, and the 3 statues of Hercules.
The Palazzo Buonaccorsi in Macerata was designed by the architect Giovan Battista Contini, a student of Bernini. He was commissioned by Simone Buonaccorsi to create a new palace out of old buildings. The yard and courtyard was completed in 1718. The interior design goes back and forth between the Baroque and Rococo styles. It also houses the Hall of the Aeneid, which was frescoed by Michelangelo Ricciolini with the marriage of Bacchus and Ariadne. Leading up to this beautiful fresco are paintings of the story in quick snapshots, such as Aeneas taking from a sacred golden tree, his recounting of Troy to Dido, Venus preparing her weapons, and many, many more.
After the translation of the Aeneid was available in Italian language, you understand that the biggest number of people were able to hear about it. Buonaccorsi wanted to celebrate this event by asking to several authors, and the unique element is exactly there. There is not one painter behind it, one hand, but there are several hands.
It all ends with the Bacchus, Ariadne, and more gods and goddesses making up the skies above, stretched across the entirety of the room. It is surely a sight to behold. However, a single painting can be just as impressive as a whole room of them. One painting that is a must-see is Madonna di Macerata by Carlo Crivelli. Dating from 1470, the painting is a tempera, using paint made of colored pigments mixed with a binder such as egg yolk, painted on wood.
Actually, what is today in the City Museum is just a fragment.
The painting stands out among paintings of the Mother Mary because it survived a fire in the Church of Santa Maria della Pietà in 1799, in which only 2 pieces of a larger painting survived.
The Franciscan convent was confiscated because all the property of the church, of the religious orders, were confiscated by Napoleon.
This piece was originally kept in the town hall for safekeeping, then later relocated to the city library, and finally to the palace. The other piece, the Pietà, is currently housed in Cambridge. Even before entering the palace are 3 statues of Hercules in the courtyard.
The 3 statues were supposed to decorate a garden over there, which no longer exists.
Visible from not only the yard, but also from the hallways between the exhibits, the statues of Hercules depict the demigod in 3 stages. On the left, a reflective, more contemplative Hercules, atypical of the bronze over brains hero. On the right, one we are more familiar with, a conqueror proudly standing over a slain lion. Both statues face toward the center, which features the final Hercules wrestling with a serpent, possibly more introspective like his counterpart on the left, or possibly just as aggressive as the version on the right.
It symbolizes in mythology the good and correct guy, which undergoes many proof and finally he wins.
Either way, it's another great piece of artwork in the Palazzo Buonaccorsi, but by no means the full extent of art in Macerata.
When you're done at the art museum, take a short walk down the street to this chapel where you can go inside and check out the artwork, paintings, and architecture.
The Basilica Santa Maria della Misericordia originated from an ancient votive chapel. The beautifully Stoic walls were built in a single day back in 1447, with the sole purpose of warding off the plague. The church was erected around the fresco of the Madonna della Misericordia in the Piazza del Duomo. The church set the basic building blocks for future generations of artists ready to study, improve their art, and hopefully leave their marks. New decorations were designed by Francesco Mancini and Sebastiano Conca. Their additions told stories from the life of Mary in a colorfully measured 18th century style. In 1921, Biagio Biagetti, one of the best fresco painters of the first half of the 20th century, created the ambulatory. Later on, external porticos and wrought iron railings were added, and in 1952, stylish bronze doors accompanied these new additions. Warm rays of sunshine gleamed through the windows, capturing the splendor of the different frescoes housed inside the magnificent stucco and polychrome marble halls. Between Tolentino and Urbisalia, about a 25-minute car or train ride away from Macerata, lies the Chiaravalle Abbey. It was built with the principles of poverty, simplicity, and essentiality in mind. These principles are obviously seen within the simplistic exterior. A doorway of magnificent marble draws you in, and a beautiful rose window formed from 12 spokes invites you to look up. Through the marble doorway and the narthex, you will reach the very well-preserved church. The roof is cross-vaulted, except for the central part, which was rebuilt after the 1422 sack of Braccio da Montone. The back wall of the church features another rose window formed from 8 small columns. Underneath the rose window is the altar, which sits atop an ancient Roman altar. This relic is an example of how the monks used the ruins from Urb Salvia to build the church. Monks arrived on this land and began building the Chiaravalle Abbey out of the ruins of a nearby town called Urb Salvia. Monks still live and pray in the abbey, and you may be able to see them chant at the 6th hour of the day or at noon. As with all Cistercian churches, the church is dedicated to the Virgin Mary. Take a day trip here and explore the simplicity and history within this beautiful abbey.
And just a short train ride away from the Macerata train station is a city called Ancona, which is a great place for eating amazing food and sitting by the beach.
The port of Ancona is the hub of all Ancona's land and sea traffic. The port is connected by ferry to several countries in the Adriatic Basin, including Greece, Turkey, Albania, and many more. Along the port, there are convenience marts where you can shop, and there are cafes where you can enjoy a hot espresso. The port sees a throughput of over 1 million passengers a year. The port lies below the hilltop Roman Catholic cathedral known as the Duomo di Ancona. It stands on the site of the former acropolis of the Greek city, the Guasco Hill, which overlooks Ancona and its gulf. The cathedral's bell tower is an isolated position looking out over the port. The building is an example of mixed Romanesque, Byzantine, and Gothic elements. The church, previously dedicated to St. Lawrence, was rededicated to St. Cyriacus, the martyr, the patron saint and bishop of Ancona in the 13th century. Below the cathedral also lies the Arch of Trajan. The Arch is a Roman triumphal arch erected by the Senate and people of Rome in the reign of Emperor Trajan. It was built in honor of that emperor after he expanded the port of the city using money out of his own pocket, improving the docks and the fortifications. Made from Turkish marble, it stands 18.5 meters on a high podium approached by a wide flight of steps. The format of the Arch is similar to the Arch of Titus in Rome, but was made taller so that the bronze figures would be a landmark for ships approaching Rome's greatest Adriatic port. It is one of the finest Roman monuments in the Marche. If you walk past the Arch, you can walk along the dock that reaches out into the sea. The red lighthouse helps guide ships and is a great spot to have a seaside picnic. Ancona is known for its breathtaking views looking out onto the Adriatic Sea. One of those views is easily seen at the Monument to the Fallen of the First World War. The monument is a typical example of fascist architecture and overlooks the Adriatic Sea. The War Memorial is located in the lush pine wood of the Pasetto, a suitable place to relax, perhaps after having spent a morning at the beach beneath. It is said that, seen from the sea, the building and its 2 staircases seems to represent a soaring eagle. White and impressive, it is made of Istrian stone and features a circular base topped with 8 Doric columns. Enjoy the enchanting turquoise and cobalt blue waters of the sea along the rocky shore.
Italy is known for having unique food options, and Macerata lives up to that expectation. The structure of breakfast, lunch, and dinner is very different from what we have in the US, and it's not uncommon to find yourself having pastries for breakfast and multiple courses for lunch and dinner.
The people of Macerata usually start their day off with a very light breakfast. It can be a form of pastry found at any cafe, bread rolls with butter or jam, or breakfast cereals and fruit. The 3 most common coffees are Cafe Americano, a shot of espresso, or cappuccino, which is commonly served in the morning. Breakfast foods can vary by season and are usually eaten between 7 and 11 a.m. Lunch is eaten between 1 and 3 when the locals take their afternoon breaks. Lunchtime brings more options ranging from restaurant to restaurant. Pizza and pasta are always an option, with pizza available by the slice or at a sit-down pizzeria. Either way, it will be delicious and full of carbs. In Italy, it is normal to have wine with your lunch, and water comes naturale or frizzante. You can also treat yourself to some sweet gelato after dinner or during the day for a snack. It is normal for dinner in the Marche to come in many courses and start later, maybe around 8 p.m. The courses can consist of antipasto, primo, secondo, and dolce. The first course is a grain-like pasta or soup. This course is meant to be filling, while the secondo will be a protein, most often meat or fish.
Having wine with dinner is extremely common here, and why not? Italy is home to Moscato, Chianti, Prosecco, and Amarone, fostering a rich and diverse wine heritage dating back more than 2,000 years.
The natural sweetness of the hills and the richness of the land are the main elements that make this territory such an exquisite wine industry. The hills of Macerata territory that stretch from the Apennines to the sea represent the best areas for growing grapes and the flourishing viticulture. The Marque's vineyards cover around 60,000 acres and produce almost 200 million liters of wine annually. Second in the world only to France, Italy has consistently been a world leader in wine production. The Marche is a land of amazing wines, and while primarily known as a white wine region, it is home to some very high-quality reds too. Commonly praised by critics as being one of Italy's best white wine grapes, Verdicchio, their pride and joy, is the leading white variety here in the Marche region. Don't be fooled, Marche's longtime devotion to whites does not obscure the merits of its red's quality. Red wines of the Marches are based primarily on Sangiovese and Montepulciano, sometimes blended and sometimes not. The most important in terms of volume is the Rosso Piceno, which is dominated by the Sangiovese grape. To get a good taste of different local wines, there are many wineries near Macerata that you can visit. In a number of these places, you will find great tasting wines that are available on tap for as little as €2 a liter. Wine is excellent to pair with any Italian cuisine, especially fish, pasta dishes, and mature cheeses. Be sure to check out online or ask your server what the best food pairing for your wine is in order to bring out its tastiest qualities. Italy is world famous for its wine and regional cuisine, and there are few better ways to enjoy an evening with family and friends than over a plate of piping hot pasta and sipping on a deliciously crisp Frascati or Montepulciano. The depth of Italian wine encompasses everything from bone dry to ultra sweet, red, white, rosé, sparkling, and fortified. From simple to premium collectible treasures, Italy has whatever you're looking for.
And while you're out looking for a good Italian wine, make sure to stop by Macerata's local markets and stores to check out knickknacks, clothing, and local produce.
Despite the difference in exchange rate between euro and other currencies, you can still find plenty of bargains in Italy. Every weekday, vendors travel from city to city to sell merchandise for those attending the markets. Items such as clothing, handbags, kitchen supplies, antiques, jewelry, shoes, delicious food, and much more are offered and bargained for throughout the street markets. Markets such as the weekly Wednesday market days in Macerata provide a taste of Italy's rich culture and give a glimpse of the daily life for many locals. Shopping in Italy requires a few tips. First, markets yield good quality items, but many are cash only. Second, be environmentally conscious and carry a reusable grocery bag or bring a rolling shopping cart, because they might not provide one for you. If you tell the seller when you're planning to eat or prepare your food, he or she will select items accordingly. Don't panic and think that they charge you extra if they give you extra items. Often, they will throw in a couple stalks of celery, for example, or sprigs of parsley at no extra charge. Markets open early in the morning and usually close down before lunch, though some markets stay open for just a bit longer. Take a leisurely stroll around the booths and compare the different selections. Soak up the local color, meet quirky and interesting people, and get a real sense of what it might be like to live and eat in Italy. Open-air markets in Italy have been existing for centuries, and hopefully the tradition will continue for many years to come. Macerata streets are also filled with stores. Window shopping in Italy is almost like a sport, and you'll see some wonderful shop windows that are almost like works of art. Shops generally open around 9 a.m. and close for lunch around 12:30. Then they reopen at 3:30 p.m. or later and stay open until around 8 or 9. Many shops are closed on Monday mornings.
Staying in a smaller city is the perfect way to get the most authentic traveling experience. From the local art to the Wednesday markets, you'll feel like a tourist and a local here. So grab that Italian dictionary, study up on the local attractions, and head over to Macerata, Italy.